Hello my dear viewers, welcome to this video. As always, Arthur's here. In this video I will share with you how you can transform from such an animal to a person like this. You might be feeling desperate right now if you clicked on this video, and perhaps you are in the same situation as I was once in. If yes, then I want to tell you that I congratulate you, because your angels send you this video. But I really hope that this is not the case and everything is fine with you. You just came here accidentally out of your curiosity. I want to give you some advices that once helped me to get out of a very deep hole that I once fell into. I hope that in this video you will find something educational and my advices will really help you. And so, here goes my backstory. I came to a new and clean life very recently. It was about 4 years ago, it was year 2020 I guess. Until this time I was a real animal. I loved drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes and partying, and also I loved to eat all kind of unhealthy foods and suffered from excess weight. I was generally drawn to the lowest vibrations in my life. Spending a few days or even a week in alcoholic nirvana was a normal thing for me. Well, I'll tell an example. Let's say 5 years ago I lived in UK, and when I came back home to visit my parents I drank heavily for 2 weeks. And I thought that I have everything under control. Well, there I thought it was normal, because it was vacation, why not? But in my everyday life, after a wild weekend, I promised to myself that next week I would not drink anymore, not even a gram. A week goes by, I start to count that I drank for 4 days, and I didn't drink only for 3 days, and so it was in a circle, non-stop. There were even worse cases, guys. Well, the only good thing what I can say about me is that at that time I almost never missed my work because of drinking. High level of responsibility is my greatest quality, even when I was an animal. At least something good. There were even cases when I tried something more serious, guys, but I don't want to talk about this on YouTube, because this video can be blocked. But it happened only a few times, and fortunately I never liked it. And these are not my demons. Just look at this animal in the photo, that's what I was like. Yeah, it's a sad picture, isn't it? But our life is arranged in such ways that everything comes to an end sooner or later. Then finally came the end of my very wrong life. And what do you think life has done to me? That's right, life gave me more problems. It was my time to pay for everything. Sooner or later in this life you have to pay for everything, guys. Yes, this is the laws of the universe, and this is how this world is arranged. If you are doing currently something bad and you think this will not affect you, then I want to disappoint you. You will also have to pay, and you will not escape from this. But big problems are just a sign that everything bad can end very soon if you do everything right, and victory is just around the corner. It may sound strange, but big problems are not just bad as they might seem at the first glance. This is a sign from the God, and it's a signal that it's time to act. So, very quickly my old life collapsed. I went through a divorce and lots of depression from that, and later God hit my health and finances. There was even a point where I was thinking that I'm going to die in a few days. Seriously, it was that bad. I felt like my fire going out inside me. By the way, if anyone here is suffering from a breakup or divorce, I won't tell you that I think that divorce is the best thing that happened to me in the last 5 years. Seriously. You must be feeling very bad right now. I understand, because I felt very bad too, and I dreamed of revenge for my ex-partner. Please don't be a person I was. It's very stupid and it's very low. Here we change and become the better versions of ourselves. Okay, let's not spend too much time on divorce, because I want to dedicate a separate episode to it. Please subscribe so you don't miss it, because we'll discuss everything there, and we will decide why divorce is actually good. Or let's put it another way, why divorce is not always bad. I know that you are probably hurt right now and you're thinking I'm talking nonsense. I understand, because this is what I thought myself. But divorce is the point where my transformation began into a new, better version of myself. I'm completely serious. Before all these events and problems, I remember myself and I understand that I simply hated myself. Now I love, value, respect and simply like myself very, very much. I will say right away that any pain and any negative events in life can be transformed in high-octane fuel that will move you forward. As we go along, we'll look into all this in more detail. So let's move on to my tips, and tip number 1 will be this: you must take full responsibility for your life. Remember, don't blame anyone for your problems. No one is to blame, no matter how strange it may sound. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Before I blamed everyone around for my problems and I was always in a role of victim. How weak I was then. Now I remember and I feel disgusted by such a fact. I understand that taking responsibility is a very big and serious step, but believe me, this way you become only stronger. Even if someone offended you, don't need to blame him. Understand one thing, God sends you bad people into your life to make you stronger. You should consider such people as teachers. I adopted this way of thinking very recently. I took full responsibility for my life and for all my problems. I began to blame only myself. I looked into my head and I realized that there was a lot of dirt, garbage and blackness there. I realized that with that kind of thinking I attract negative events into my life. Life is a mirror, you attract the things you're thinking about. If you're in a bad mood and you look into the mirror with a dissatisfied face, what you will see there? You won't see a happy person there, right? I realized that it was my own fault, there was a garbage in my head, and that's why there was garbage around me. I attracted bad people and bad situations to myself. You won't believe it, but as soon as I changed my thinking, my environment began to change. Think about this advice because it's very important. I understand it's very difficult to change such thinking. It took me years to come to this. But if you'll manage it, it will be the manifestation of strength. Try to understand that all this is about becoming stronger and better. Only strong people will achieve their goals. I assure you, you can become stronger, believe me. I was in your situation, I was very weak. I hope that you will realize and accept this and you will stop judging other people. And here we come to another second serious piece of advice. Stop judging others. Do as I do, try to understand why a person acts badly. If you analyze the situation, you try to understand why a person does this or that bad thing, you can understand that not everything is alright in this person's life. And perhaps this person is very unhappy. After all, a happy person will never do bad things to others. If you dive deeper in this person's life, you probably will see a lot of pain there. On the contrary, you can't be angry on such people and you should feel sorry for them. I understand it's very complicated and you probably think that I am talking nonsense here. I want to say that I came to this conclusion only a few months ago, but I noticed how my life changed immediately after I stopped judging others, and it changed for better. I understand that I'm not perfect myself. I know that there is a lot of bad stuff inside me and this requires lots of hard work to get rid of it. You have to accept everything as it is and you thank such people for the lesson. So here we come to the third piece of advice which helped me a lot. Accept everything as it is. After all, everything in your life happens as it should happen. Previously, very often I resisted certain events and I could not simply accept them. I was very angry and very worried after I planned something very well and it didn't work out. It really pissed me off. As a legendary character Blade, who were played by Wesley Snipes, once said, some idiots
are always trying to ice skate uphill.
I was one of those idiots. Believe me, God leads us the way is the best for us. Sometimes it may look like it's not like that. If it didn't get somewhere or something didn't work for us, then it means we didn't need it. When you go to your doctor, you don't tell him how to treat you, right? The doctor decides himself how to treat you. Let's imagine the situation where a very small child sticks something into a socket and there is a high risk he will get an electric shock. Let me remind you that this child is very small and not quite intelligent and doesn't understand what he is doing. But you, as an adult and more reasonable person, will stop him from doing this. You as a more reasonable person understand that this is dangerous and could have serious consequences. Of course, in the most situation, child will start crying and screaming, expressing his dissatisfaction, because you're taking away something very interesting from him. Even if he doesn't understand it, you did it for his own good. What if I told you that we all are children of the God, and they often stick something into a socket? God as more powerful mind stop us from doing that. So you don't interfere with God and don't tell him how to treat you correctly. God knows himself what is best for you. You better be grateful for everything God sends you. And here we come to another piece of advice. Be grateful for everything you have. Believe me, this advice is very important. Perhaps the most important in this video. I came to this knowledge several months ago, but it changed my life in a really cool way. I realized that I used to complain a lot about my life and I was ungrateful for everything I had. But in reality, everything was fine with me. I recently had a knee surgery and I had to use crutches for a few days. And these few days was like a nightmare for me. And this is really washed my brain. I began to realize that somewhere there are people who walk on crutches their entire life. There are also people who spend their entire life in wheelchair or cannot get out of the bed at all. So after these few days I realized that I'm a very rich man and everything is alright with me. I had gratitude before I started walk with help of crutches. But the crutches were the triggers that made me 100% grateful. If you use your two hands and you walk on your two legs, then you are a fabulously rich man. Believe me, it can be always worse if you are ungrateful. If you complain about your life, then God will say that you don't know what a bad life is and He will give you a much worse situations. But if you thank God for everything you have and say, thank you God, I live very well, then God will say you don't know what a good life is and He will give you something better. I advise you to be grateful every morning, things that today's morning has not come for someone. And before you go to bed, be grateful for this day. I want to tell you that the feeling of gratitude inside you creates a very cool and warm feeling. And it also clears your mind a lot. I remind you that if you don't get something in this life, it means that you don't need it, or it won't be useful for you. God knows better himself what is best to give to you. Try to understand that everything you dream about might not be useful for you, or you are simply not ready for it yet. Well, if you don't have this expensive and luxury Ferrari or Lambo right now, well, it means you don't need it now, or you're not ready. If you were given this car right now, try to imagine. You might crash and die in this car. Or for example, if you are given lots of money, then perhaps you will become an alcoholic alcoholic, or even worse, there can be an infinite numbers of negative consequences. Well, if I would get lots of money, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, then perhaps I would not be here with you, because I had no brains that time, and I would probably just have drunk myself to death. I remind you, if you don't have something in your life, it means you don't need it, or you're just simply not ready for it now. Work on yourself very hard and you'll definitely get it later. I think that everyone has such a cases when you dreamed about something very much. You really dreamed about something very much, but it didn't come true. And a lot of time has passed, you forgot about this dream a little, and then this dream came true and you become owner of something you dreamed about. I think everyone had this weird feeling, and that's it. I dreamed about it so much, but when I got it, I didn't get that strong wow effect. This sounds familiar, isn't it? Do you know why this happens exactly this way? This is because God gives you what you want at the moment when you are ready, when you can take full responsibility for it. Perhaps if God had given it to you earlier, it would have simply made your head spin and it would have spoiled you. Please use this knowledge. And so we are coming to another very good piece of advice. Always try to learn lessons from any problems or bad situations. As I told you before, bad people and bad problems are coming to your life to teach you something. And I remind you that you shouldn't blame anyone and you must take full responsibility for yourself. If something happened, it means it was supposed to happen that way, and it shouldn't have happened differently. Through the pain and blows of fate, a person becomes temperate and stronger, just like a cold weapon. Forging a good and strong sword uses heat to make material more malleable. Then material is hammered into shape using blows of a hammer. It's same with us. Life beats us and breaks us, but this is how life makes us stronger, if you take lessons correctly, of course. It's not really important what happens to you, but it's very important that after the situation you need to sit down and do full analysis and understand what this negative situation teach you. Why did this happen to you, and what should you do to prevent this from happening again? Sometimes you can't immediately understand what the lesson is, but you have to think in a long run. It can be very useful for you. Believe me, if you analyze well, you always find something. This is as well how you grow and become a stronger and better version of yourself. I'm not telling you all this because I made it up and I decided to play smart professor here. This is because I went through all this myself and I understand how everything is arranged and how everything works. And something tells me it's my duty to share this information with you. Perhaps God wants it. When you will learn to apply this advice correctly in your life, you will see how much easier everything becomes. You will notice how big problems will gradually start to disappear from your life, step by step. Before I was a different person. I blamed everyone around me and I didn't take responsibility. My life was full of big problems. Every morning when I woke up and I said to myself, well, what kind of shit is going to happen today? And now all this is gone from my life. There's only some small micro problems, well, if you can call them like that. And so we move to another good piece of advice. Get out of the toxic relationships. Well, if you rely on the advice above, there are still lessons to be learned from the toxic relationships. Remember that any person who comes to your life is given to you for experience or to direct you somewhere. Maybe you are going to a wrong direction, you never know. And of course, bad and toxic relationships is a very good opportunity to pay your bill. And to work off your karma, of course. After all, through the pain and suffering, this is how a person is purifying. All this is very good, of course, but healthy mind is also very important to us. That's why we are here. Personally, I believe that any relationship should bring joy, happiness and peace, and it should not burn you out or suck the energy out of you. If suddenly you start to feel like your person has changed for the worse, maybe it's not your imagination. Think about it. I don't understand why should you tolerate someone who doesn't value you, deceives you or mocks you in every possible way. Yes, I know that the love is such a thing when you become very attached to another person and there is no way back, but it's not like that. I've been through this myself, but I learned how to love and value myself. I decided for myself, it doesn't matter how the strong love is, but if the relationship is toxic, then you definitely need to get out of it. We say thank you to the person for experience, for the lessons, and we wish him happiness and all the best, and we continue to move on without him. Goodbye. If you think that you will not find anyone or you will not find someone better, then you are very wrong. But with time and experience, you will understand that sometimes it's better to be alone. But I'm not in the way calling you to get divorced or break up with your partner right now. In fact, many relationships have simply reached a difficult stage, but they can be saved by simple talking to the person and coming to some kind of compromise. So try to talk first. In general, always try to talk first and solve your problems with the help of your mind. This doesn't apply just for relationships. Guys, what I'm trying to say is that peace of mind is a very important component for our transformation. First of all, any personal transformation begins with work with your head. So there is another very important piece of advice what I want to give you. Clear your mind. The order in your head will determine how harmonious your life is. Here I want to advise you to stay away from any kind of news and in general watch less TV. I personally think that there is nothing good in there anyway. Television was created to keep you in fear and manipulate you and also try to sell you all sorts of crap you don't really need. It's better to watch YouTube because here you choose interesting content for yourself. Try to stay away from a negative people and never try to argue with them. If a negative person makes you emotional and you start arguing with him, then it means you have already lost. I understand that everything can be explained, but unfortunately not to everyone. Also, meditation is a very good way to clear your mind. This doesn't mean that you need to sit down in lotus position right now and try to enter some kind of trance state. Sometimes it's just really good to sit down, relax, close your eyes, put some relaxing music in the background and just be in this calm state for a while. There is a lot of good meditative music on the YouTube for these purposes. In general, YouTube is a very cool platform where with the right approach you can not only have fun but also learn and develop. Personally, I learned a lot and I have lots of skills and thanks to YouTube for that. Let's continue. Also do sports, because sports are great stress reliever. Personally, I like to go to the gym, put some good music to my headphones and have a really good workout. So I also get in some kind of meditative state where I not only work physically, but my mind also rests. So I'll try to explain to you how the bad thoughts works. Every person has his own dream or goal. So you are point A and your goal is point B, and this line between point A and B is the path or road you need to take to become happy. And suddenly this road starts to become overgrown with bushes and trees and all sorts of different things. All this makes it difficult for you to pass along this road. So as you understand, these bushes and trees are your bad and negative thoughts. So start chopping these trees and bushes and try to see your final destination. Please don't let your negative thoughts kill your dreams. Guys, and here is my last piece of advice. You need to try to get rid of all bad habits. And don't tell me it's impossible. It's not like that. I was drinking and smoking a lot, but then I quit and I've been clean for many years. This channel already has a video available about how to quit smoking painlessly, where I talk about how I quit smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. A very useful video. Be sure you watch it till the end. It will appear somewhere here. I also plan to make video about how I quit drinking. I want to share some tips on how I quit drinking when I had a big problems with alcohol. But for me personally, this is a very personal and serious topic. I have to prepare very well for this. I don't want to miss any details. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss this very important information. I fought a life and death battle with alcohol. So believe me, there is a lot of interesting things to tell you and there is lots of you can learn. Well, finally our video has come to an end and it's turned out quite long in time. But I hope it was very informative for you. Well, I hope I can sleep peaceful right now, because something woke up me in the middle of the night or early in the morning and pushed me to write the text. I hope I did everything right. I really hope that you will listen to my advice and you will change your life for the better and you will not repeat my mistakes. I want to add that I still have a lot of work to do on myself because there is still lots of shit inside me that I need to get rid of. While I'm recovering from surgery, I will be filming such educational videos and I will share my experience with you. I hope in the future we will return to different travels and adventures and we will do different funny things and we will enjoy life together. Please take these tips, use them and change your life for the better and start loving yourself and start loving the world around you, because I think that this world is ideal and very beautiful place to live. Okay, thank you for watching this video. If you think it's good, then please give it a like. If you didn't like and you think that I was talking complete nonsense, then please give it a dislike. Any opinion is important to me. And remember, no matter what, always try to stay positive and do everything what brings you joy in this life. Within the law, of course. My name is Arthurs and see you in the next video. Bye, my dears.